She was there. Yeah. Hi everybody, welcome to our Saturday surprise. I'm Cheryl Fisher and Jim Hansen is right behind the camera, and we're both educators here at Cedar Run. Now today, if you guys didn't know, it is World Turtle Day. And we have a great appreciation for turtles here at Cedar Run. And World Turtle Day is really just that, is to bring awareness and show an appreciation for turtles and make sure that we learn how to respect them and celebrate them by keeping them in their natural habitat. So today we're going to do a craft. We're also going to learn about the body parts of a turtle. We're going to learn about how to, there's one taking a drink over here right now. She's very cute. Can you see her? Let's see. Were you taking a drink? Are you bathing? There you go. Good job. Hi, Heather. Hi, Richard and Pam. So it's very cute. I appreciate them. So we're going to talk about why we have turtles in captivity here at Cedar Run and what to do if we do encounter turtles out in the wild. So hopefully you enjoy what we bring you today. And just remember that our trails are open and you might have a good chance of experiencing some wild turtles right outside here at Cedar Run. We are 171 protected pineland acres right here in Medford. So some of you guys know that we're here in Medford, but we do have some new people tuning in a lot lately. So thank you for that. And just know that our animal housing area is open and our animal hospital is also open. It's just this nature center right here that is closed to the public. And we welcome all of you to walk around our 3 miles of trails and to visit our resident animals as well. So today we're going to talk about the anatomy of some turtles before we get to see some turtles up close. You did get to see Blinken over here. She's taken a little bit of a bath, but we're going to get to see some of these turtles up close. But we're going to talk about two very important parts of a turtle. So we have about a dozen turtles that live here naturally in New Jersey, and there is one in particular that is problematic. It is the red-eared slider, and these are the ones that are commonly kept as pets. In the state of New Jersey, it is illegal to sell turtles in the state of New Jersey, and you must have a permit to keep turtles in New Jersey. So to purchase a turtle in New Jersey, you're not supposed to do that, and you're not supposed to sell turtles as well. Although we know that people do have turtles, unfortunately. Just know that these turtles will live their happiest life out in the wild, and often many of them don't make it to their 5th birthday when they're kept in captivity. So let's talk about some of the happier things about turtles. So they have 2 really important parts to them. So a lot of cartoons have shown us that turtles can walk right out of their shells. They cannot. So this is the top of the shell and the bottom of the shell here. This one is a snapping turtle, an aquatic turtle. And you can see, I'm going to turn it over, this is its backbone. And you can see underneath, you can see that there's ribs and vertebrae. So that is part of the turtle. They cannot walk out of that. So the underside is the plastrons. That's what I'm going to say. I wrote it down for some of you guys just in case. So this is the plastron, okay? And the bottom side is called the plastron. And the top side is called the carapace. And a lot of people don't know that this is bone. So you can see this is scales that are covered on top of the bone. And this is a preserved specimen. Unfortunately, we don't know what happened to this. This was just found at a nearby property and it was brought here. So These scales do come off. They do grow with the turtle. And much like rings on a tree, you can actually find out how old this animal was if you counted the rings on its scales. So this animal, probably between 20 and 30 years old. And turtles here in New Jersey can live up to 60 years, sometimes even longer out in the wild. Now this joining piece here, I see Jim's kind of looking. This joining piece here is called the bridge. It's a really great name because it does connect the top and the bottom. So it just goes across. So this is called the bridge. We do see injuries in the animal hospital. These guys do get hit by cars. And we see a lot of damage, usually with the bridge, because if they get hit, that's the first thing to kind of give. But they do survive that injury a lot. Now this is an aquatic turtle. This is a snapping turtle. And here is the carapace, the top shell of an eastern box turtle. So these are land turtles. This doesn't have any scales on it, but you might be able to see those rings in the bones. So those are called growth rings. And because these guys hibernate or go into torpor, they have these seasonal growth rings because they don't eat all year round. They only eat spring through fall. So we see that separation. So I think that's pretty neat. But you can see they have multiple bones. That's their backbone. And you can even see the ribs on the inside. I think it's pretty neat. These little puppets also show you that. These are really cute. So you can see that their body is actually, even though this is a puppet, it's attached. It cannot come out. So their shell is to protect their soft parts of their body, and their heads and their feet, and even their tails, this one does have a tail, should be able to tuck in to their shell to protect them from being eaten. So our box turtles, we're going to look at those guys up close too. Our box turtles can actually close up and make sure that a predator can't get in there. We're going to look at them. This one, it's not a real one, but I'll take out Tommy. Let's see. Tommy's one of our older guys. He is well over 40 years old. Oh, he's hissing at you. He says, oh my goodness. So Tommy here, he came to us a long time ago. He was kept in captivity for quite some time. And he suffered a few injuries. He just has some substrate coming off of him, that's all. It's just some dirt from his enclosure. Now this animal is a land turtle. So the land turtles tend to have a thicker body. So Tommy here, being an eastern box turtle, they get their name from this hinge right here. So that's a hinge. Normally a box turtle, if you encounter it out in the wild, it would not stay out of its shell. They would tuck their heads in and close themselves up. But Tommy's been with us for so many years that he is not fearful of people anymore, which is also one of the reasons why he can't go back out into the wild. So Tommy is one of our educators. He travels around with us, and we talk about the dangers of keeping them as pets. So there's a couple of stories that go around where his leg went. So maybe it was a pet that had gotten a hold of his leg. He can push it around, but he doesn't have a foot there. He also has a crack right here. So he may have been hit by a car. So sometimes when they do get hit by a car, they tend to tuck themselves in very quickly, and they do end up cutting off their own feet, which is a horrible thing, but it's better to save your life than a foot, I suppose. He also has this bone sticking out of his carapace, so he has no scales growing on top of here. So a lot of times when people keep animals, reptiles as pets, they keep a heat lamp on top of them. So most likely he had a heat lamp in his enclosure, and he suffered a burn where he can't grow scales there anymore. So Tommy gets to live here year round. and he is a very popular educator. And you can do an adoption of Tommy as well. So we do have some adoptions online of our resident animals if you guys want to check those out. I know. Symbolic adoptions, of course. It does help pay for the care of these animals because we do have to care for them year round. So a lot of people don't realize that these guys don't have teeth, but they do have a beak. And Tommy is really great at showing off his beak. So his beak, I've suffered some pretty incredible bites from wild turtles, just that we're in care. They don't want, when they're hurt, they're gonna bite. But this is a beak, so these guys eat dead things out in the wild. They will eat some carrion, they'll eat insects, crustaceans, definitely some berries, and it's really important if you do find these guys out in the wild that you don't feed them. If they're traveling in your neighborhood, be grateful because these guys are now threatened here in the state of New Jersey. We all know that we're one of the most congested states in the lower 50, well, all the 50, I suppose. But these guys, because of our habitat destruction, these guys have a whole mile radius that they would travel. And often they have to cross roads now to travel to lay eggs and to go back. So if you do find these guys, please do not take them to a place that you think is better for them. They do know where they live. They know where their food source is. They know where their water source is. So often we hear the story of, oh, I took him to a better forest. But that's somebody else's territory. So now he's always looking for his own forest. So I think that's sad to think about, you know, turtles always looking for home. I always wonder where his original home is and what he's thinking about. But we're gonna do a little activity. Oh, one thing I wanted to show you is that this is not a water turtle. You can see he has some really rough skin here, and he has some very, very sharp nails. And that's for getting around in the dry territory. So these guys hibernate underground. They dig under the leaves and they bury themselves all winter long. And unfortunately, we have 13 they were kept as pets, and we don't know where they originally came from, but they do get to live out their life here. So we have 3 that live here year-round indoors in the nature center, and there are several that's outside at the animal housing area. Tommy, you want to go back? Thank you so much for playing with us, okay? Another thing is, if you ever find any kind of a turtle walking across the road, so let's see, Tommy can get around. If he's walking across the road, it's okay to help them across the road. Now, there's a heat lamp there, so that's probably why he wants to get there. But don't turn them around and put them on the better side of the road. It's really important to help them to where they're going because they know where they're headed. Again, don't put them in a place where you think is better for them. So thank you so much, Tommy. I hope everybody enjoyed seeing you today. Anybody have any questions?
We do have a question. Doreen asks, if they find a turtle being hit on the road, can they bring them to us if the turtles are injured?
Yes, absolutely. So a couple weeks ago, I said always leave a box in your car and a towel. And the best thing to do if you do encounter any kind of wildlife is to cover their head. So this guy tucked his head in. So turtles do, if they look docile, but what I would do is just to throw like a blanket. So I'm going to pretend this paper is a blanket or a towel just over his head so he can't really see you coming. And then just wrap it up gently, put it in the box, and then bring it to us as quickly as possible. It's really important to not have the air conditioning on in the car as well. It's really important not to have loud music, things that we don't notice when we're driving around, but having that type of issue for them after they've been injured could compromise them further. So just make sure that you're aware of those conditions. A lot of people think, oh, it's hot outside, let me put it under the air conditioner. Please don't do that. So we have a couple of things. So we learned about the carapace and the plastron and the bridge. And there's a couple of things that you can do. I'm a high school teacher, but I know we have a lot of kids that are stuck at home still. And I always like to do something that is free. You know, it costs me nothing. My husband was gracious enough to buy me carrot cake this week, and it came in this lovely plastic container. So I am not a fan of plastic containers, but what a wonderful opportunity to reuse it, because that really is the best thing to do, is to reuse plastic items. And I actually use it as a terrarium or starter for seed. So this kind of represents a land turtle because it has a thick body, and on the bottom, and I put some land in there, okay, put some soil, and the bottom is called the plastron and the top is called the carapace. Now this is fun. You can just you can see it has a lot of moisture in there still. You don't have to water it very often. I have a few seeds in there, and this way, with that big thick body, you can recognize it as a land turtle. Now, a couple of things that I started over here. I just kind of did a little face thing. This was something that was there, and you can stick the faces on there. It's very cute, the little corners. You can get some feet, and of course they have a tail. So you can stick the feet out here if you want. Of course you can glue this as well, but it's really easy. And let's see.
We do have 2 questions.
Yeah, question away.
How many babies do they normally have?
Oh my gosh. So they lay eggs, which is what this was for. They lay a lot of eggs. The eggs are at risk of predation, so a lot of them do get eaten. And once the eggs hatch, they end up going right back where the parent actually started. So they do hatch out of a shell, with a shell. It is much like a bird egg. It's a little crinkly, but it has that calcified egg. And they hatch out with their shell grows with them, and they could have several. So maybe only one hatches, but they could have up to 50, and sometimes even more, depending on the species. So they only lay eggs once a year, and right now they are crossing the road to lay their eggs into higher ground. They don't lay their eggs in water. So the other thing to do is to take your carapace. Remember, you've got your carapace and your plastron. This is the bottom, this is the top. So we respect nature here. I did not pull live leaves off of the trees. And one way to remember that turtles have a backbone is kind of using a leaf. So a leaf has something that we call a midrib, okay? And then they have these veins that go out like this. So they have that midrib, and it makes a wonderful opportunity for a stamper. So turtles are all different colors too. So Tommy's a little yellow. His sister is over here. Let's see. Where is she? Here she is. So you can, she's a little dirty. So you can see that she's got a larger humped body. The females do tend to have that larger body, but they do have that variation in color. Some are bright yellow like Tommy, but some are solid gray. This is Winkin. I think Blinkin's a little more gray. She's in there too. So Winkin, Blinkin, and Nod are other ones. So this one is for our aquatic turtle. So I'm just going to take a few drops and I'm going to mix it around. Let's see what happens. And I'm going to take that backbone and just kind of rub it down. Oh, that didn't exactly work out. I put too much on there. But you can make a stamper. And I'm not too dirty, you can see that. It doesn't really go through. It could be the type of paint I'm using as well. I didn't shake it up very well. And then you can stamp it. There we go. I know. You know, live TV, right? So you can stamp it. So we're gonna put our carapace with our plaster on. You can tape it together. You can do that before you paint it as well. And this one has the flatter body, so I would say this is an aquatic turtle. And we're gonna give him a little head. These also make those wonderful tambourine shakers. If you have any pebbles or rice, I didn't want to make a mess inside. So you can put something in between. To entertain the littles at home, because we all know they need entertaining. And so this little guy, you can see. Really easy, guys, just use home. Like I said, I tend to not look to buy things, especially in this day and age. If something comes across glass jars, I have found wonderful for seed starters. But just some really cute things.
Somebody asked, do turtles sleep?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So they have 3 eyelids. These girls are good at sleeping, honestly. They sleep a lot. So they are only on the move if they're looking for food or water. They generally want to hide in plain sight. Let's see if we can get Blinken this time. Oh, here we go. Here she is. So Blinken is bigger. I'm gonna have to clean this off, ladies. So you can see she has she does have eyelids here. She says, what's going on? I've missed the kids. But they do blink, they do sleep, they'll tuck themselves in, they'll close up their shell to protect themselves while they're sleeping. You can see that she did dig herself down in her substrate, so they do kind of tuck themselves in, bury themselves in leaves, and hide in plain sight. What a mess, my dear. What a mess. Oh my goodness. So I think she might have been sleeping. She tucked herself in. Look at all the dirt. So we're going to put her back there. And she is. She's hiding under a log, which is something that they would do out in nature. She doesn't want to be found. And but it's really important to leave them where you find them, if you do find them. And so there's a couple ideas for you guys. So you can make a water turtle, a land turtle, and over here we just used an egg carton. So an egg carton can make a dozen baby turtles. So these little hatchlings, you just tear it apart. We used a little cotton ball, a little pom-pom, and just some paper scraps that we found around here. And it's just a little turtle life cycle. So if you guys have any ideas for us, as we start to slowly reopen, we are happy to keep presenting these activities to you and interactive live at 2s. We're also doing a virtual birthday party, so if you would like Tommy to visit your birthday party virtually, or any of the girls, we can plan that for you as well. So if you guys don't have any other questions, how they doing, Jim?
We're good.
Okay. I'm always happy to talk to you guys on Saturday, and I know I see some of you guys out on the trail. So hello, and I hope to see you guys again. So come and visit. We're here. Thank you so much for visiting today.